Teaching your kids good money management skills can really help set them on a path toward financial flourishing in the future. And as parents, we always want what's best for our sweet little babies. So, how exactly do we do this? How do we equip them with these skills? In today's video, I'll share some tips on how you can go about teaching your kids about money without overwhelming them. And if we don't already know each other, my name is Katie Jones. I'm a certified Christian financial counselor, and I help believers such as yourself learn excellent money management skills that are rooted in the gospel. And my husband and I have a sweet little baby boy who is about 6 months old, and we have an almost 5-year-old foster daughter. However, we have had some 10-year-old foster kiddos in the past here in our home as well. And teaching money management skills to foster children is kind of a whole different challenge in and of itself. So if you're interested in learning about how specifically we worked on teaching our foster kids some money management skills, you can let me know in the comments below and I'd be happy to create a future video on this. But today we're going to talk more along the lines of children who have grown up in your home, whether that was a foster child maybe that you adopted or an adopted child in general. So even though our biological son now is less than a year old, you can definitely believe that me, as a certified Christian financial counselor, have already been thinking about how I'm going to raise him to know the truth of the gospel and how it actually impacts the way that we view and use our money. Now, I was on a coaching call just the other day with a current student in the Redeeming Your Finances school who has 2 elementary age kiddos. And one of the reasons that she actually joined Redeeming Your Finances is because she wasn't actually taught any money management skills when she was a kid from like her parents' school or church leaders. And now she's at a point where she wants to be a better example for her own kids. And she's going to do that by learning how to actually manage her money in light of the gospel. And so the first question that I kind of want to touch on before I give a few tips on how to do this is, when do we actually start teaching our kids about money? Now, whether you realize it or not, money lessons start earlier than when you actually decide to sit your kids down and like teach them about money. And my question to you is, did your parents actually teach you about money? And if they did, what did they say about it? Inside the Redeeming Your Finances course, I have my students go through this money story guided reflection exercise. And what they end up learning is that whether your parents or guardians explicitly taught you about money, there were lessons learned. So, the way that you talk about money impacts your kids. The way that you treat payday impacts your kids. What you go and spend your money on impacts your kids. How you treat the idea of giving and generosity impacts your kids. So whether you realize it or not, you're teaching your kids about money. So start modeling good behaviors early. Consider what you're teaching your kids through your actions and interactions with money. Now, if your parents or guardians maybe didn't do the greatest job teaching you about money, and now you're in a place where you're struggling, the best thing that you can do for your kids is to learn first. In fact, why not bring them along with the journey that you're going to go on, just like my client did with her kids? The knowledge that you learn will not only help your kids long term, but it will also make your new journey to becoming an excellent money manager a little bit easier, because your kids will start to put the pieces together with you, and they're going to want to be on a mission alongside you. So what better way to teach your kids about money than learning about God-honoring money principles yourself? You can sign up for the Redeeming Your Finances school now, and for a limited time, we are offering lifetime access to the entire school. So as we add new classes and courses and resources, you can keep your stewardship journey going. Now let's look at some practical ways that you can start modeling good gospel-centered money behaviors with your kids today. And at the end of the video, I'm also going to share some like crucial things that you want to avoid with your kids so you don't accidentally turn money into like the enemy, or you want to avoid just in general overwhelming them with all of these kind of bigger concepts. And if you find this video helpful, please let me know by giving it a thumbs up or leaving a comment down below. That way, more Christian parents such as yourself can find this video and we can equip the entire body of Christ with excellent money management skills that are rooted in the gospel. So the best way that you can go about teaching your kids is by having some kind of structure to it. I'd recommend using the 5 pillars of a gospel-centered financial plan, which is something that we go through in the Redeeming Your Finances course. And those are give, live, save, owe, and grow. I'll give you some examples on how you can teach your kids about each one of these pillars without them really knowing that you're doing that. Now, the first pillar is give. This is all about God's generosity agenda. One of my first tips is that whether your kid brings in money from an allowance or a job, or they've gotten it from a grandparent or a gift or something along those lines, you can encourage them to give a little bit of that money away. I had a client who said that her kiddo does have a piggy bank, but she has a hard time helping her child find delight in giving money away. And so if that's your challenge with your kiddo, here are a couple tips that you can try with them. The first is simply, again, going back to modeling. Model generosity by doing it out loud. Share with your kids how much you're giving, where you're giving, and why, and then give them the opportunity to experience the joy of giving themselves. We found that with our 10-year-old foster daughter, that when we put her in a position to give, she actually found that she really enjoyed giving. When she was living with us, we had like a chores and behavior chart that she would earn points from, and then those points would turn into some kind of reward that she was working towards. And in the beginning, those rewards were typically very self-serving, but that was until my husband came up with this idea that every other reward she worked towards had to be something that she could do for someone else. One of her favorite rewards that she would work towards was earning gift cards to be able to go and give away to someone like on a street corner. After a few rounds of doing that, we saw an increase just in her desire to share with others and to be generous with things like even making chocolate chip cookies at home and giving part of them away to her friends at school. Now, you don't have to go and make a whole chart with points and everything, but it could be as simple as the next time you go to Chick-fil-A, buy a $5 gift card and tell your kiddo that they can go and give it to whomever they feel could use it, and leave it open-ended so that they have to make the decision. This also helps them to open their eyes to the needs and feelings of others. Another simple tip is my mother-in-law actually always adds a gift card to our Christmas stockings with a note from Santa that says that he needs our help to go and share the Christmas spirit with others, and he wants us to give that gift card away to someone in need. So whether or not you have Santa in your household or not, but just inviting your kids in little, simple, practical ways that make it a little bit more exciting. The next pillar is the live pillar. This one is all about budgeting, and a simple way to help your children learn about budgeting is that if they do receive an allowance or earn money or are gifted something, you can help them to plan out exactly where they're going to spend that money. One simple way to do this is to have them list out all of the things that they may want to go and purchase, and then sit down and look up exactly how much each of those items cost to see if they have enough money to actually go and buy all those items, or if they have to make the choice of which things to purchase now versus later. And another idea would be to bring your kiddo to the grocery store with you and explain, here's how much money we have to spend on this grocery trip, and ask them to help you make the decisions. And as you put things into the grocery store, sit there and add things up and see if you have enough money to pay for it. The next one is the save pillar. So next time your kiddo asks for a larger item and maybe it's not around Christmas or their birthday, you can ask your child to start saving for that item instead. If the item is too large for them to actually save for, maybe you can say, hey, if you save up for half of it or a portion of it, we will pay for the rest of it. Now, we actually did this with our foster daughter. She really wanted to buy a hamster, and so I sat down with her to look up how much, just generally, a a hamster plus all of the items we would need for it would actually cost. And so we set the goal that if she saved $100, we would pay for the rest of whatever was needed for the hamster. And she did amazing at this. Week after week, she saved her money, and the day that we went to go and buy that hamster was one of the best days. You could tell just how proud she was that she had actually saved up the money all by herself to do this. Now, what was cool about this was that we were actually able to teach her some of the basics about opportunity cost along the way. So when she wanted to use some of her allowance to go and buy other things, we would help her remember that if she spent the money now, it would put off her hamster purchase by so many more weeks. One of the other ways that you can help model saving behaviors is to invite your children into your family, like financial or budget meetings. And when you're starting to set new goals, invite them to be a part of that decision making. For example, if you are planning a family vacation in the next few months, allow them to have a say in what that destination might be, and then set a monetary goal amount for that vacation, post it on your refrigerator or somewhere that everyone's going to see, and then let that be a reminder every time that you guys go to make a purchase, what you're working towards together. It allows your kids to take a little bit of responsibility in this process of saving for your family vacation. So it might not be saving their own money, but they can help by maybe not asking for so many items at the store. That would definitely help save some money. The next pillar is O. The concept of debt is probably a little bit more challenging to teach kids until they really understand negative numbers. But again, if you start teaching these principles from a young age, they will start to understand how impactful and even detrimental debt can be to accumulate, and it can really harm any kind of goals that you're trying to accomplish. I personally haven't done much with debt with our children, but the best way that I've seen this done is by keeping like an ongoing record on the fridge or like a cork board in the house, where you simply write down what money they've brought in, like how much they've earned, and then whenever they spend money, you subtract it. And then that way, once they go below how much they have, they can see that the number becomes negative, and that if they want to bring that back up, they need to kind of pay off that debt. This is the best way. I'd love to hear if you have any other examples or tips on how to teach your children a little bit more about debt. I would kind of caution against like bringing them into your debt conversations to avoid any extra stress on your children at a young age. Now, the last pillar is grow. And the best way to teach kind of the basics of investing for your children are through the concept of delayed gratification. Now, have you ever seen that like marshmallow experiment that was done in the 70s where like the kiddos were sat down at a table and they would have one marshmallow on a plate in front of them. And they were told that they can eat that marshmallow right now at any point, but if they waited long enough, another marshmallow would be added to the plate. But if they ate the marshmallow to begin with, they wouldn't get a second one. Now, this is a really great example of delayed gratification. Finding ways to help your children learn delayed gratification will ultimately help them build up their ability to play the long game when it comes with money. So rather than spending it all in the moment, encourage them to set some money aside for a future goal that they might have. Now, the whole point of teaching them about money from a young age is to help them kind of live more in harmony with it and to view it as a tool to glorify God with. And so what we want to do is avoid making money the enemy, making it a stressful thing, or making money like a weapon. What I recommend is to avoid discussions about debt that would worry your children, believing that something bad might happen if, the debt wasn't paid off. It really creates more stress around money than they really need at this age. And another tip is, while we do want to help our children find enjoyment in giving and generosity, we don't want them to start to believe that we have to give or God is going to be unhappy with us. So that's kind of making money more of like an enemy or a weapon. So we want to encourage that generosity is something that we can do with joy. Again, we want our kids to be kids. So if at any point your child feels stressed out about money decisions, give them a break. While some stress can be healthy and encourage them, so that they recognize that money decisions really do impact our lives, we don't want our kids to grow up resenting budgeting or money discussions or feeling like they're enslaved to needing more all the time. So reevaluate, find a new way to approach the topic at a later date, and honestly, just invite God into the conversation and pray over it. The whole process has to be a balance. Okay, so now it's your turn. Go out there and start modeling good money behaviors to your children. I'd love if you tried some of these tips. Let me know how they went with you and your kids. And if you have anything else that's working for you, please let me know, because our kids are young and we're still looking for ideas. Be sure to like this video and share it with a friend who could use a pep talk as well. And subscribe for more faith and finance videos in the future. So until next time, see you later.